After Governor Greg Abbott ordered arrest warrants for all Democrats who fled Texas, other states are vowing to act.
We are at war, and that's why the gloves are off, and I say, bring it on.
Scripps News national security correspondent Liz Landers joins us now live from Washington, D.C. And Liz, what's the latest at this hour as things rapidly change?
Yeah, Holly, well, we're monitoring, first of all, a press conference that's happening in Illinois right now with Governor J.B. Pritzker of that state. He's been hosting some of these Texas Democrats who've been there. So we'll be listening into that and hopefully have some more news out of that press conference soon. But Holly, this morning, we have some more developments. First of all, as you mentioned, Governor Greg Abbott of Texas is issuing those civil arrest warrants for the Democrats who left the state. Yesterday afternoon at 3 p.m. Central Time, the Texas State House was called into session, and there was not a quorum present. That's because more than 50 Democrats left the state on Sunday. They went to places like Illinois, like New York, like Boston, places that have Democratic governors, where they are now fanning across the country and doing press conferences and trying to bring awareness to this redistricting battle that's playing out in Texas right now. So in addition to that, we also got news, and the president weighed in on this earlier today. He was talking to CNBC this morning, and he was supportive of what Governor Abbott of Texas has been doing. Take a listen to what President Trump said just a little while ago.
We have an opportunity in Texas to pick up 5 seats. We have a really good governor, and we have good people in Texas. And I won Texas. I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, as you probably know. And we are entitled to 5 more seats.
So there you're hearing the president saying that he's backing what Governor Abbott is doing there. And this all comes down to redrawing of congressional maps. And I know this may glaze over people's eyes. This is not a topic that we talk about a ton because this only usually happens once every 10 years. We have the census that happens every decade. And then after that, we see congressional maps redrawn. So in 2020, Texas had their congressional maps redrawn, and Democrats and Republicans in a bipartisan fashion signed off on that. But Governor Greg Abbott decided to bring the Texas State House back into a special session about 2 weeks ago, and they have been having hearings about this in the last few weeks, in addition to some hearings about some of the disaster relief that they're supposed to have in Texas. But this was the top of the docket, this redistricting. And this effort would add 5 additional Republican congressional seats to Texas. Right now, Republicans already have more than 20 of the 38 congressional seats there. This would add 5 more additional Republican seats. And this matters, Holly, because right now here in D.C., the margins in the House of Representatives for Republicans are really, really slim. This is something we hear Speaker Johnson talk about frequently. President Trump complains about how slim the margins are. If somebody is sick, if somebody has a family emergency and they're not there to vote, sometimes it can be the difference between whether or not legislation passes or not. So basically, Governor Abbott is doing this in order to have the maps redrawn by 2026 for the midterm elections next year, and to continue to probably give President Trump a majority in the House. And that's why we've seen such a strong reaction from these Texas Democrats, and frankly, Democrats across the country. Just a few moments ago, J.B. Pritzker, that governor of Illinois, saying that Abbott and Trump's move were authoritarian type moves to try to stack the congressional maps in their favor, Holly.
And Liz, so what's next for Democrats? I mean, they have to return to Texas at some point.
We do expect that they will eventually get back there. I talked yesterday with Chris Turner. He's one of the Democrats who left the state. He was the head of their caucus there in 2021 when Democrats last did this. Just for some reference for folks, I covered that in 2021. A huge group of Democrats in Texas left the state as they were opposing some voting legislation that was happening there. They did the same thing. They were gone for 37 days. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who people may know, she was in the Texas State House at the time. She talked yesterday about how Governor Abbott had issued a warrant for her arrest. She says she has that hanging in her office now, and she was never actually arrested because the Department of Public Safety there in Texas doesn't have the jurisdiction beyond the borders of the state of Texas. So So I do expect that we should see these Democrats to continue to raise awareness about this, talk about this publicly for a few days. This is basically going to be a stalling tactic, Holly, because as you mentioned, they will have to return to their state at some point. And when that happens, the quorum will be in place and the Texas State House will be back in session. So this redistricting map will likely pass then. But one more thing, Holly, that this is sort of precipitating an arms race of sorts with redistricting right now. And I just got off the phone a few moments ago with a source who's close to Governor Gavin Newsom of California. And this move that Abbott is taking in Texas is now precipitating Democratic governors to rethink drawing their maps in their states. According to the source that I talked to, Governor Newsom is now considering this in California too, whether they could call a special election and get rid of their redistricting commission there if California residents would be open to that. We heard that yesterday from Governor Kathy Hochul as well. We're hearing some other rumblings in other states. So this is a quickly developing story right now because it really comes down to the balance of power in Congress, Holly.
It's a good way to put it, Liz, an arms race. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Scripps News national security correspondent Liz Landers live for us. Thank you for that update.